Hi, my friend. It's Pat Sloan here for Saturday on my daily video. So we have a topic of today, which is to clean it. Yes? So what are you going to clean? You're going to clean your iron. When was the last time you looked at your iron and really, got the little dust bunnies out of the corners and crevices, wiped it off? I mean, I know we use our irons a lot, so they don't really build dust, but there is dust from the fabric. And if you have an Aliso iron like I do, let me just move this here. The Aliso, it's not on, so I can do this. But the Aliso has, and many of your irons have this, there's a little ridge in here. There we go. It's a little heavy for me to pick up there. This ridge in here, you can get little bits of dust, and then what happens is if you get a little water drip in there, it creates like it's mucky, and then that can fall off on your fabric. So today, go in here, get that, cleaned out, get a little dust, a little blower, just blow on it, and then look at the sole plate of your iron and see, does it have any gunk on it? Use some of that cleaner to get it off. So today you're going to give your iron some love. And if your iron is super gunky and horrible and you need a new one, order one. The Alisos, they're waiting to get a new batch in, so they don't have them. They'll probably be late December before they're in again, because they've sold so fast over all the pandemic. Everybody's doing stuff and ordering things, and manufacturing is much slower. So anyway, when they come in, I will definitely let you know, because I know a lot of you want the big size like I have, which has the lifting feet and everything. But they will come back. So I got the backing. Remember I showed you the out west, the belt buckle backing? So there we go. I have it all made for my out west, and I did have to add a few strips around the outside of extra fabric, which is just to get it onto the long arm machine. The quilt, that won't be quilted in. I'll end up cutting that off again. And so I just keep these strips of white fabric or any kind of fabric I have extra, like when I cut off from other quilts, I can just keep them and just resew them around the outside. And that way, if I don't have enough, because literally I had to use, can you see the seams there? There's a seam. There's a seam. I had to seam a bunch of sections because from that fabric I had years ago, this is all I have left. Excuse me. I've got allergies today. My eye is running. So I also found, what was it? It was, I think this was like from Fabric Tech or something like that, or High Fashion. I forget what it was, but it was old. It was pretty nice quality though, because even for the time period, there were a lot of base goods, which are called gray goods, that were a little stiffer. Like if you go back through your older fabric and you feel it, it's not nice and soft and silky and drapey. This one's pretty nice, but that's all that's left. And so here is the top, the out west, with its backing. And that's pretty heavy for me. That's going to the spa to visit Cindy and Dennis. Yes. So another one. I think I figured out I have 3 tops. The rainbow, the stay at home, which was the first one we were doing when the pandemic first hit, and the spools. So those 3 I'm going to try to do myself. We'll see, because there's not that much till the end of the year. But they're not, well, the rainbow, did I send the rainbow to Cindy? I have no idea. No, I think I still have it. I have to check. This is one of the things I have to check. So on your calendar, speaking of things, on your calendar, be sure that you've changed, that we're going to move the stomping ground. We're going to move the Elevent Stomp out to December 30th. So we'll just start it right at the end of the year, and we're going to stomp out 2020, and we're going to twirl into 2021. And Wendy, who designed this for my Morrison Park fabric, is going to sew along. She's got another set of fabric. She's going to make a second one, and I'm going to make mine just like Wendy's with the Morrison Park. One of our friends, David, over in the Quilt Along with Pat Sloan group, he figured out that if you have a layer cake, you can get one elephant body if you're really frugal when you go cutting, you'll be able to cut an elephant body out of a 10-inch square. So if you've bought my layer cake, if you're frugal, you know, you're going to be able to do that. You're still going to need ears and trunks and all that. So plus my light background fabric is back in stock. This is back in stock, and we're waiting though for fat quarter bundles. So they will be a little bit towards the end of November when those come in. So you can do a digital download of the Stomping Ground, and then the print copies will come back in. You bought all the first print copies, so they're coming back in. But I want you to check that, because once the tree, see the tree? Once we're done with the tree next week, then we'll have like a week break, and I guess maybe like we'll probably do this the last Monday in November. We'll start a jelly roll project. For those of you who already own a jelly roll, if you were getting my Morrison Park jelly roll, or 2.5-inch strip set, you can get that. And what I'm going to do, there's two I showed you because I think they're great options. One is this one, which would be, I think, very, very fast, because you're just doing strip sets and then cutting them. And then this one's a little bit, this is more like a log cabin variation, and so it might take a little bit longer to do. But I like it. This is what I'm going to do, because it's block based. Because what I want to do is when I start this at the end of November, and we run it for like 4 weeks, I want to be able to make so many each week. Because that's what I want. I want to have a plan for, how many of these blocks will I make? How many of those blocks, so that I can sort of have. I mean, I've not been home. I've not been home this long stretch of time in like for almost forever. As soon as I started our business, almost immediately we started traveling to teach, and so for 20 years almost, I was on the road all the time. I would only come home for a little bit and leave again, and I've not ever had this way to plan my day and plan my projects with so much wonderful time in my studio. So I always would just have like an hour or so to sew. Now that I sort of got that backlog of projects, my wrists broke my wrists, then my wrists now are 4.5 months later, stable enough and get enough movability that I can actually build some kind of a plan that I can work on these projects this day, do this much cross stitch, do this much sewing blocks. I mean, I'm just so excited. I have to sit down and sort of think up how I want to handle this, and that's something you can do too. So if you are somebody who likes to have a bit of a structure to what you do, a plan, a schedule, however you like to use that word. I mean, a lot of people don't want that, particularly if you've retired, you did that in your job. But the thing is, if you have a little bit of structure, I'll use that word because it's not threatening. That's the structure. A little bit of structure in your life is good. It lets you have control. It makes you feel like you have control of your life and things, because a lot of other opportunities come up. And so once those opportunities come up, you might be flitting off to do those, and then you're no longer sewing anymore. And that's what you really wanted to do. So having a little bit of structure of saying, okay, I'm definitely going to sew on these days. And if you have a job where you're maybe watching grandchildren, or you have a job where you're going into an office, or even if your office is at home right now, you still have a lot of days, and it's a lot of exhaustion. That can be very exhausting. So at the end of the day, you want to have something that's easy. If you want to say, okay, every day I want to sew like about 30 minutes or 20 minutes, I just need a little something. If you're doing a project like this, or even the elephants, if once you got them figured out, you got them set up, then you can just sit and sew some for 20 minutes. And it moves you forward on the project. It gives you satisfaction. It gives you control over some part of what you're doing. You made a decision. I decided this, and I did it, and I accomplished it. So for me, I'm very excited about building that kind of daily structure where I did not have that ability before, because when you're on the road and coming home and leaving and coming home so much, my time was very splintered. So I was this morning, before I did this video, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do, maybe 15 minutes to cross stitch. I don't know how long it takes me to cross stitch stuff. I just loved watching Kimberly because she's like, okay, I'm going to do these 2 blocks and that will take me an hour. I mean, she knows how long it takes her to do types of work. You know, probably how many thread changes do you have, that kind of a thing. So I'm doing, I've got it, I put it on the little stand. This is so perfect. See, I can't show you the chart, but normally the chart will be off of here, and I would put that, whoops, on the other side. Oh, come down here. Let's come down here. I can't hold that. I always think I can do things now, but I can't do them, so. So there we go. So I've got the chart on the book stand. And I went ahead and did this much. Now I decided that I was going to use the pink. I'm using the Aurifil's floss, and I had decided on the pink. And now, like, I started stitching and I thought, oh, that's so cute with the soft pink. Now I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should just do the mug in pink rather than introducing red, because I'm going to have words in the chocolate and the cream, and then there's going to be this little bit of green. And I'm like thinking, oh, maybe I need a lighter green, make it all very light. But see, this is dark. You know, I think originally, yeah, the mug was like a more, yeah, it's like a more darker between those two. But I'm thinking but then maybe not. Maybe I'll do the red. Anyways, this is a thought process I'm having at the moment on what I'm going to do with that, how I'm going to make that work. And I'm going to write in the journal, so I got the journal too. I'm going to write in the journal about that, and then I'm going to get I have the quilting journal too. There's a quilt one, a cross stitch one, and I'm going to get the quilt one out, and I'm going to, over the next, I mean, this is Saturday, so maybe Saturday, Sunday, I will, you know, figure out a little bit of a structure for my quilting. So, a few of you wrote and asked me about my hair. So this is my hair when I don't, you know, like straighten it with the curling iron. So this is what it looks like naturally. If it were a little shorter, like layered up, it would get quite Shirley Temple. It would get quite curly. But like it's pretty like flat at the top because it's got weight. So it pulls weight, but then the ends I can scrunch them up. Can you see the back? Can you see the back there? So I can scrunch it up. Also, you asked about the gripper name, and I forgot to bring the gripper over, but I decided to name the hand gripper Stella. I like Stella. As soon as I heard Stella, when Bobby said that, I'm like, yes, Stella. That's Stella the gripper. She's my daily friend, helping me with getting my fingers going. And if any of you have ever had the issue where your fingers don't bend as well anymore, like you had an injury and you know, I didn't have an injury to this finger. I mean, it was to everything below there, but the joints are still swollen. Like I can't get my wedding ring on. It just hits the knuckle and it won't, the knuckles are swollen. And so even like bending back at the top joint, they don't bend like they should, like these do. So if anybody has had this issue and you did things and know things that will improve that bendability, let me know, because that's sort of my, besides strength, this and my wrist are my bending, you know, it's very sore to bend my wrist. So I'm working on those things. And, oh, last, I'm going to put the link here. How could I forget this? Kimberly showed my cross-stitch pillow on her cross-stitch this past Wednesday, you know, a couple days ago. So I'll link you right to the part where my pillow is down below in the video. So you can go see her show my pillow. And Cindy stitched that. So thank you, Cindy, for helping me out. Okay, time to go. Get a little structure in my life. I don't know how you're feeling about your life, but let me know. Let me know if you are really planned out, you know, if you are thinking you'd like to just have a little bit more organization in how you approach your projects. I would love to be talking about this. Well, I'm just going to talk about it anyways because that's the way I do things. And remember to clean your iron today. Links are all below. They help support my small family business. Greg and I love you for that. And I love you so much. Mwah. See you online.